Hello everybody! Today we're talking about all of the horror books that you need on your TBR so you're ready for autumn and, more importantly, spooky season. These are all coming out in September and October, and I am super excited about all of these. Some of them sound incredible. As always, please check content warnings before diving into any of these books. First up, we have An Immaculate Deception by Isabela Livino. This one comes out on September 1st. This is the author's debut gothic horror, and it is set in Brazil in 1970. It follows a pregnant woman that comes from a very religious household and finds herself pregnant in sin. Then a terrible accident means that her and her lover are taken to his isolated family home, where she finds herself unable to escape. And then even stranger things start happening. Her baby daddy isn't acting like the man she knew, and the family seem to be harboring a dark secret. Firstly, just look at the cover for this one. It looks so cool. It is definitely the type of book that I would pick up if I saw it in the bookstore. This sounds like it has themes of religious horror, which I am a huge fan of. And honestly, everything about this book sounds like a bit of me. And I thankfully won't have to wait that long to read it. Then we have Thorns by Gregory Bastianelli. This one also comes out on September 1st. This follows a doctor working on the front lines of a hospital in Italy, dealing with a deadly contagion that causes thorns to erupt across the surface of the body. When Dr. Monica herself becomes infected with this virus and must leave the hospital, she begins a journey across the dark landscape of a pandemic world, where she meets the best and worst of humanity that tests her belief in science and faith as she struggles to return home to her loved ones. This one is very unique. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like this before. I love the concept of the thorns coming out of people's skin. That sounds horrible and creepy. And other than that, I don't know too much about this one, and I kind of want to keep it that way, just based off what I know so far. It's kind of giving me similar vibes to Sister Maiden Monster, which is one of the books that I talked about being very underrated recently, but I think this one might be more grounded in science, but I guess we'll find out. Then we have Daughter of Rot by Rios de la Luz. I can only apologize if I'm butchering that name, but this one comes out on September 8th. This one is about a family moving into a quaint little home surrounded by forest. It is the beginning of their dream life, but the main character is a pathological liar with strange impulses that are plaguing her at night. She wants the perfect family, but she regrets becoming a mother. Then there is her daughter Olivia, who is just 4 years old when she meets the house. She spends most of her days alone and befriends this house, and at night the house whispers to Olivia and creates this bond between them. The house even, and this sounds crazy to say, takes on a maternal role, and a new room suddenly appears. This 2-bedroom house suddenly becomes a 3-bedroom house. The new room lures people inside, and it haunts and teases them. And then when Olivia finally gets up the courage to explore this room herself, she finds the opposite. She finds warmth and safety. And apparently this room creates lush ecosystems for her to explore. Just trying to describe this one feels like a fever dream, so I can only imagine how it reads, but that gets me very excited. The fact that it goes from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms is immediately reminding me of House of Leaves, and if you've been here for a while, you know I love House of Leaves. But something else about it as well that it reminded me of was the Red Room from Haunting of Hill House, and that is what really drew me to it, because it seems like this room that appears out of nowhere changes to the people around it and the people that it's trying to lure inside. That is one of my favorite TV shows ever, so if there's something that can conjure up those feelings, I'm gonna check it out. Then next up, we have Pictures of You by Josh Malerman. This one also comes out on September 8th. This one is about a woman that becomes the subject of an artist's mysterious experiment. Obviously, it is from the same author that did Incidents Around the House, which I wasn't crazy about, but I did love Bird Box by the same author. And this one is very intriguing to me. I believe that this woman also gets trapped inside the painting, which sounds awesome. I need more books that are about haunted artwork, cursed artwork, because I love that so much, and it could just be me, but I feel like it's an untapped genre. Next we have Serenity Falls by CJ Tudor. This is released on September 10th. Serenity Falls is a idyllic town where they have no crime whatsoever. It is non-existent here. So Dan and his daughter Sadie see it as the perfect fresh start for them as they escape from their troubled past in the UK until a body turns up in their swimming pool. And that is just one of the things that start a spiral of weird occurrences disappearances, odd discoveries, including abandoned houses and strange behavior. Town of Serenity Falls is planning its 50th anniversary, but there is more than meets the eye to this idyllic facade, and Dan starts to wonder, is it really a perfect town? And how far will the people in it go to keep its secrets? I don't believe I've read a single CJ Tudor book, but I've seen their work around a lot. I know that they're very popular, and I've seen this one floating around on social media recently, but I love mysteries and idyllic towns that aren't what they appear at first. This one definitely seems like something that I need to read in October. As we are about halfway through the books now, if you're enjoying this video so far, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Then we have 1,000 Monstrous Forms by Saratoga Schaefer. This one comes out on the 15th of September. This one is another artist one, so I think I'm eating my own words here when I said earlier that there weren't enough artist horror books. I have seen them picking up in popularity recently, but this is about a young ceramic artist that moves into her wife's isolated manor and gets drawn into dark mysteries that stain her marriage and apparently her very soul. Poppy's marriage to her wife was very fast. They've only known each other for 6 months, but she doesn't really care. She is just very excited to move into this art-filled mansion. Also, apparently there is a locked basement that Poppy is not allowed to go into until she is left alone in the house for a week. There are also faceless statues in this one that are stalking Poppy. That sounds creepy as hell. As I have talked about before, and I will continue to do so, I am a huge fan of The Silent Companions. It is one of my favorite horror books ever, I think, and one of the few books that genuinely scared me. So I'm hoping that the statues in this can bring about some of those similar feelings. Once I get round to this one, it will be the second book that I've read by this author. They also wrote Tradwife, which I talked about in my last video, and I was obsessed with that one. I read it so quickly that I have no doubt this author is going to be able to hook me in. Next up we have Newbourne Park by Jennifer Thorne, released on September 29th. After years of caring for her dying mother, Martha feels far older than her 26 years and she is left exhausted. So when her brother invites her to a weekend getaway, an opulent 200-acre estate where his friend works, Martha reluctantly agrees. The owners and all of the staff will be gone, the security cameras are turned off, and Martha thinks that for the first time in years, she may actually be able to let loose and have a bit of fun. And that's what happens to begin with. Martha finally starts to relax, but when night falls, the rightful master of the house returns and she is not alone. Suddenly, being caught trespassing is the least of their concerns because what comes after them is vicious and hungry. I'm sensing a pattern here with some of the books that I have chosen because I am always a big fan of big country estates, isolated mansions, but I promise the last two are wildly different. But anyway, back to this book. This sounds a lot like a survival horror, and I'm very intrigued by what the entity is in this one. It sounds supernatural, so if that is true, that'll be very cool. Next up we have The Finalists by Faith Gladwin. We're into October now. This book comes out on October 6th, and this one sounds awesome. It is about 7 ballerinas and the audition of a lifetime. Eden is in a manor house in the snowy mountains with 6 other hopefuls in a month-long audition for a mysterious and tragic former ballerina. Only one finalist will join Leonora's company and dance the lead. Eden wants this very much, but there are some other girls that are willing to go a lot further than she is. Her competitors are taking any advantage that they can, and the cursed house will push these ballerinas to their edge and maybe even further. As this is happening, Eden is fighting an attraction to Leonora, and she comes to the realization that only the dancer that pays the house's terrible price will be the finalist. I can't see anything not to like about this one. Sounds very good. Then next up we have, and I think I might need to read the title because it's a mouthful, Return to the Motherfreaking Fun Factory by Neil Kleid. Kleid? That's the part that I'm struggling with. This one also released October 6th. When I read up about this one, it was giving me playground vibes. So 10 years ago, 5 children were lured into the machinations of a twisted, whimsical toy maker and forced to compete for a grand prize. Prize was all the toys they could ever dream of, but turns out they were also competing for their lives. Today, 4 of those children who have now grown up to be adults seek revenge on the man who terrorized them, and once again find themselves trapped inside his factory of horrors, all while attempting to save the 5th member of their group who won the competition but was left behind. Like I said before, this one instantly reminded me of Playground by Aaron Beauregard. I have no idea what form this competition and these horrific toys take, but it sounds incredible, and the title alone makes me think it's also going to be very dark, twisted, but also funny. So how can this one not be going on my spooky season TBR? Then last but definitely not least, we have What Feeds Below by Tatiana Schlote-Bonne. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering any names. And this one again comes out on October 6th. This one is about a city that has a giant void in it. That is a chasm that extends into the earth. It is very treacherous and overrun with monsters and carnivorous plants. And for 2 orphaned best friends, Petra and Jade, who guide treasure-seeking tourists down into the void, it is their only way of getting their freedom. Petra prefers to play it safe and take jobs only in the void's upper levels where the dangers are better understood, whereas Jade wants to take some risks and go down to the very treacherous 6th level that isn't properly explored, because the deeper they go, the better the payout they get, and the sooner their dreams can become a reality. Petra values her friendship with Jade so much that she accepts this job, but when it goes wrong and Jade is lost in the void, Petra must dive deeper than she ever has before in order to save her friend. But apparently there is more to the void than they could ever have imagined. This one again sounds kind of like a fever dream, and I love it. It reminds me of a more touristy Annihilation. Haven't read the book for that one, but I absolutely love the movie, and I am finding myself struggling to pick which ones are going to be at the top of my list for the next few months. These all sound genuinely amazing. I have already read some incredible books that have come out so far this year, so I have no doubt that the rest of the year is going to be just as incredible. I am very excited that we are now getting into spooky season, so let's see what the next few months holds. If you like the sound of any of these books, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!